What's going on, guys? Santalize Gaming here, and tonight I'm going to be bringing you a short video about Affliction Warlock rotations, some tips and tricks, and just some other things that I feel are kind of important as we head into Season 1 for PvP of Shadowlands next week. So let's jump into it. Alright guys, bear with me. This video is kind of just a quick video I'm throwing together. It's not really scripted or anything. I'm just hoping to answer some questions I've been getting about Affliction Warlocks, like their rotation to use in arenas, and some other things. But the first thing that I really wanted to talk about was about the legendary that we're all going to be getting next week. So as many of you may have seen my last video, I talked about prioritizing Sacrilash's Dark Strike as your main legendary for PvP as we head into Season 1 of Shadowlands. This is still the case. I feel like this is going to be the best legendary for Affliction Warlocks. However, in my last video, if you didn't read the description update, I stated that I felt that it was going to be best to put this on your pants, given that pants give you more stats over your feet. And those are kind of the only two options for, I guess, what gear slot you're going to put your legendary into. However, I learned, and after a little bit more research, I've discovered that you're actually going to want to craft this onto your feet instead of your legs. The reason being is that if you head over to the PvP vendor for Conquest and you look at the feet that are sold, neither of them are a haste versatility combination, and it doesn't look like that's going to be changing throughout the season. Essentially what that means is that if you were to try to obtain your stat priority as an Affliction Warlock, you would have to continue to farm feet from either Mythic Dungeons or the raid. Whereas they do sell a haste versatility form of legs, which you can continue to upgrade throughout the season. So guys, next week when the location in Torghast finally opens to give us our legendary item, should be Scalding Halls. We're all going to be super stoked to get that. Just make sure that when you get that, that you get it crafted for your feet, so that you're not having to continue to farm different various sources for a haste verse feat throughout the season. So the other thing I want to talk about with that is a lot of classes already have their legendaries this week, and I know a lot of Affliction Warlocks have kind of been feeling down about it. The advantage to us having to wait until week 3 is that next week we should actually have enough Soul Ash that we should be able to craft a rank 2 version of our legendary. So make sure, guys, that before you go craft your legendary, that you farm all of the remaining Soul Ash from this week and then all of the Soul Ash from next week by getting all of the layers done for both areas. You should be sitting a little over 2k Soul Ash, and then make sure that you go get a rank 2 base item cloth feet from a tailor or from the auction house. And if you have a rank 2 base item with at least 2,000 Soul Ash in that recipe, then the rune crafter should be able to craft for you a rank 2 version of the legendary, essentially making it a lot higher item level, and it will make it to where you're not going to have to upgrade it more and more further down the road. So super awesome. I'm super pumped for next week to finally be able to get our legendary and to see how it works in a PvP setting. So moving on to the next topic. The next thing I wanted to talk about was your trinket preference for PvP as we head into Season 1. As you can see here on my bars and on my character, I've actually been using the Sinful Aspirant's Badge of Ferocity. If you haven't used this in the past, they changed the cooldown. It used to be a 2-minute cooldown. It's now a 1-minute cooldown, so that's pretty cool. This isn't a bad trinket, but I've kind of been looking a lot at this trinket right here. Okay, so this is a trinket that essentially allows your abilities to have a chance to grant you a higher stat for 20 seconds, whereas this one's more of an on-use trinket. I feel like, guys, we're going to want to be running this trinket as our main DPS trinket as we head into Season 1, namely because as Affliction Warlocks, you're constantly throwing dots out, and each time you're using an ability, you're getting a chance for that proc to occur, meaning that you're going to get a lot more overall value from your dots in an arena or in a PvP setting. This one here, that's still really good. Like I said, it's on use, so that could pair well with like your Malefic Rapture windows, which I'll go into here in a second. But the disadvantage of this is you're only allowed to use it every minute, and if an enemy player sees that you've used it, they can choose to do something to disrupt you and kind of make your, I guess, your overall damage during that window go down significantly. So this one's just a safe kind of guarantee. You're throwing out your dots, you have it equipped. The more you're throwing out dots, which is very frequent for Affliction Lock, then you're going to have a lot higher uptime of this ability in comparison to this one. Other trinkets to look at, obviously, is this one here. I feel like this is a must-have. Sometimes if you're versing various comps, like perhaps a mage and Death Knight with a healer, then Relentless can be alright. But I really think overall you're going to want Gladiator's Medallion, especially with the rogues, which I feel like we're going to see a lot in arenas. Is for the smoke bomb stun that so commonly kills a lot of us. You're going to want this trinket here to be able to get out of that combo, so that you're not getting just totally neutered in a smoke bomb stun. So that's kind of what I'm looking at as far as like threes go. If you're more thinking about like a 2v2 and you're running with a healer, this one here, Gladiator's Emblem here, isn't a bad choice. I mean, that's a lot of health buff. So if you're versing like a super, again, like stunny kind of a comp, like a rogue fire mage in twos, then this is something that can help your healer if, you know, they get stunned or blinded or something to help keep you alive. I think this will have a lot more value in twos and threes, but still a trinket to look out for. But prioritize these two here, the Insignia of Alacrity and the Gladiator's Medallion, as we go into Season 1 next week. Alright guys, moving on to the next thing I wanted to kind of go over really quick is just some simple tricks for Affliction Warlocks to use in the arena. Now, these things I'm going to talk about aren't really like, oh, I never thought to do that. It's probably just stuff that a lot of us are aware of to do in an arena setting. But if you're not, and you're super new to Warlock, then I'm hoping that this just kind of gives you an idea of some things you can do to maybe give you just a little bit of an edge while you're in the arena. So let's talk about mobility as a Warlock first. So some things have come back to us for this specific expansion that used to be PvP talents. I'm sure most of us are aware of that, namely Demonic Circle. That's a baseline ability now, all of us get it. And then, of course, we have our Gateway, and if you're playing Night Fade, then you have your Soul Shape. So those are kind of your main mobility things. So something you'll want to do while you're in an arena is when you're setting up your gate, make sure that you're putting your circle somewhere at least close to your gate, so that if you're getting attacked or, you know, you're, I guess, trained by two melees or something like that, further away from your gate, then you're able to teleport back, and then if you're being close enough to your gate, you're able to use it and then keep, you know, kiting melee people away. Another tip on this specific map here is if you're playing against two melees, a good strategy is to actually just like set up your stuff here, and it won't let me gate because of the cooldown here, but if you're fighting with two people up here, then you're able to jump off, you know, and you can start if you want with your gate, and it will get you back up there, and then you can jump off again and teleport up. So things to keep in mind is just utilizing your Demonic Circle in addition to your gate, and letting them kind of help each other out as far as getting away from people. That's just one thing that I would recommend, to utilize both Demonic Circle and your gate in arenas. Another tip is just making sure that your main, I guess, combat impacting abilities are all assigned to a particular arena target. I've set up guide videos in the past about just like arena targeting and your keybinds and things like that, but one thing you really want to make sure that you have is a system that helps you to be able to CC with your fears or your pet's interrupts, or you know, if you're using Mortal Coil here, very effectively and with very little thought. You don't want to have to be, you know, if you're fighting a druid, setting him as your focus at the beginning of the fight, and then he goes back into stealth, or he uses shadow meld or something like that, and then you lost your focus and you're having to reacquire him, and just to be able to CC him or something like that. Something I use is arena targeting, just so that it's a safe feature. It'll always work no matter whether they go invisible or not. It's arena 1, arena 2, arena 3. You can Google arena targeting macros, and there's a whole bunch of them that kind of help you. But for me, I set up all of my abilities here for each individual arena target. So, and of course, my shift 1, my alt 1, and my control 1 are all for arena target 1. It's just dependent on what I'm doing to them, whether it's interrupting them, mortal coiling them, or fearing them. But yeah, that's kind of something I would make sure that you're doing as we go into season 1, is making sure that you have all of your really combat influential CCs and things like that, interrupts, on a good targeting system, so that you're not having to waste more time needed trying to get off an interrupt or a fear or something like that. So in addition to like your arena targeted macros, another macro I would make sure you have as an Affliction Warlock is like a damage kind of bursting macro. So essentially what it is you're combining, sorry, I had two, one for destruction and one for affliction. So essentially you're going to be combining Blood Fury if you're an orc, which is what I play, so which is a 2-minute cooldown, and that's going to be combined with your Dark Soul Misery here, which is also a 2-minute cooldown, and then I have my Trinket listed as well, which is a 1-minute cooldown. So that's what this is, this macro here. So when using it, you're going to pop all three, getting the intellect buff and the haste buff, as well as your trinket buff, which is another intellect buff. So really allowing you to optimize your damage as you begin your burst rotation. So alright guys, that kind of brings me to the last thing that I wanted to talk about, which is kind of what I've been asked about, which is how to do a damage rotation in a PvP setting as an Affliction Warlock. So to start with, I'm just going to quickly go over what talents I'm running. Right now I have an Inevitable Demise on, as well as Absolute Corruption for the uptime keep on Corruption. And then I'm running Grimmer of Sacrifice and Dark Soul with Phantom Singularity and Mortal Coil. So essentially, you're going to make sure you have your pet summoned, which I usually almost use Fell Hunter in an arena setting unless I'm playing 2s against 2 melee. Then I'll use my Summon Succubus and for the charm. But you're going to sacrifice it so that you have the Grimmer of Sacrifice buff, so that you not only have your interrupts, but you have extra damage now with your spells as well. And what you're going to want to prioritize when you're starting your damage rotation is Agony. So Agony is the only ability that Warlocks have to generate soul shards, other than Drain Soul when getting a kill, which you only get that soul shard if the target dies while using your Drain Soul. So really Agony is the main shard generator, so that takes priority over everything, and that's something that you're going to want on all targets in the arena, so that you can maximize how many shards you're going to be generating in the fight. Corruption is also something that you're going to want to prioritize over every target that you're fighting, is keeping Corruption on them, especially with our Legendary. You're getting a 15% increase of damage to this, as well as the 50% slow, so it's going to generate a lot of damage for you, as well as keep everyone kind of slowed down. Right now, like I talked about in the last video, I don't have the Rolling Agony conduit. I've been trying to farm it on Heroic, the other side, as well as Mythic, and I haven't been able to get it yet. So having that Rolling Agony, just even the Heroic version, gives you like an extra 4.8 seconds on your Agony time, upkeep time. So without it, you're refreshing Agony a lot, which kind of makes you globally starved quite a bit in arenas. But essentially, after you get Agony and Corruption on all targets that you can, you're going to want to put Unstable Affliction on at least 2 of them. I would personally only keep my Unstable Affliction on the 2 that you're prioritizing on killing. If you're being left alone and you're not getting, trained by melees, then you can put it on all 3 people that you're fighting. But if you're getting trained and you're getting focused down, it's going to be really hard to try to upkeep Unstable Affliction with a 1.3 second cast on 3 people during the whole arena. So, and I would put Unstable Affliction like on the healer and the other DPS that maybe you're trying to kill. And then of course Phantom Singularity is going to go on your main kill target, whoever it is that you are trying to kill the most. So that's kind of how you set up your dots. In addition to your Soul Rot, which you'll put on people right before you start doing your damage rotation, your burst rotation. So I'll show you just a quick example of what that looks like, and I know I'm kind of throwing a lot of information out at you, so bear with me guys. Just kind of watch this rotation to give you an idea of what it should look like. So remember, you have your Grimmer Sacrifice on. I kind of talked about the macro you set up. You're going to want to use that right after you cast Soul Rot and you start spamming Malefic Rapture. So you're going to start by dotting everyone up. You'll put Agony and Corruption on them. All 3 targets. You're going to put Unstable Affliction on at least 2 of them. We'll say the middle target is your kill target. You're going to cast Soul Rot, pop your Glare, all your cooldowns. Make sure you're using Rapid Contagion, and then you're going to spam Malefic Rapture. In your off time, you can spam your Shadow Bolt. That's telling me Agony's low, so you're going to re-Agony everyone. And then once you have your proc for Drain Life, or your ID proc, then you'll spam Drain Life on whoever, which can do some serious damage. And then you kind of just refresh all your dots. So you'll go through, restart, and then start spamming Malefic Rapture again. And that's kind of what it looks like, which is kind of rushed, but yeah. So make sure that you're prioritizing Agony and Corruption on everyone. Keep your Unstable Affliction on at least 2 targets. Phantom Singularity you're going to upkeep on your main kill target. Anytime that you have your Dark Soul Misery or your Rapid Contagion available, only use those after everyone is dotted. That way you're going to maximize how many ticks you get out of all your dots. So make sure everyone's dotted and then use these 2. If you have Dark Glare, that's just going to not only cause it to attack enemies with dots, but it's going to keep your dots on longer, so it just helps you get off more Malefic Raptures without having to start reapplying dots. So that's kind of how you utilize Rapid Contagion and Dark Soul Misery, is by applying all your dots first and then using those. And then Soul Rot is just an ability that's another dot that spreads onto people that compounds how much damage you deal with Malefic Rapture. That's something you'll want to use with all of your other cooldowns so that you can really maximize how much damage your Malefic Rapture is going to be doing. So, and the other thing to keep in mind too that can be useful is with this Inevitable Demise, one reason why I've kind of started, using this over Drain Soul just to kind of try it out, is that the ID proc that you saw in that damage rotation can compound with your Soul Rot. So, as you guys know, Soul Rot makes it to where your Drain Life will Drain Life everyone that Soul Rot is, on. So you can get some mad damage by having your ID proc and then using Drain Life in addition to Soul Rot. So keep an eye on that. That's definitely also a very high damage potential move or combination, is to use your Soul Rot when your Drain Life procs so that you can Drain Life on an ID proc. So this is coming off cooldown. So I'll show you real quick again what that looks like, what that damage rotation looks like. So again, we're going to be using Agony and Corruption on everyone. Unstable Affliction on at least 2 targets. Phantom Singularity on your main kill. You'll use Soul Rot, pop Dark Glare, use all your cooldowns, use Contagion, and then Malefic Rapture, the remaining shards here. Pop your Shadow Bolt when you have no other shards to use. Keep your Agony up. And then use ID when it procs. So Alright guys, and that's pretty much your damage and burst rotation. If you have any questions about it, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'm happy to try to answer any questions. If you're seeing this pop up a lot, because I don't have that rolling agony conduit, so make sure guys that you're farming your other side on heroic and mythic to try to get that rolling agony conduit. That's really going to help you with a lot of global starvation and not having to reapply your agony so much. So one last thing to quickly mention is don't forget about unending resolve. Right now warlocks they're getting trained pretty hard in the arena, and so it's hard to do a damage rotation. So remember to use this defensively as well as offensively. Sometimes after you dot everyone up and you pop your cooldowns, you might have to use Unending Resolve just to be able to get off your Malefic Rapture spams. But one nice thing about Affliction is that if you have used both Rapid Contagion and Dark Soul Misery, your haste buffs are already applied, and if your Dark Glare's out, he's going to help keep all your dots up, so you're able to, you know, run around and kite, perhaps, you know, while your dots are quickly ticking. So you're going to get a lot of damage out of just your dots with these two abilities here, not even having to spam Malefic Rapture. Tomorrow I'll be giving an overall guide on Destruction Warlocks and how I feel they're going to be doing in arenas, as well as like their compositions and stuff like that. So thanks again for watching guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.